Pam Gregory. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the second half of January, and in particular, the new moon that we have in Aquarius coming up on the 27th. Now, we might still be feeling the ripples of that cardinal grand cross, the full moon in Cancer, that we had on the 12th, because that was very powerful, very intense. Many people felt a huge release and surrender of energy, old energy from the past, that enabled them to move on to something new. But we might still be feeling that intensity. I think intensity is going to be the watchword for 2017 and indeed building to 2020. But the dominant aspect, which was part of that cardinal grand cross, the dominant aspect for much of 2017 is still this T-square between Uranus and Eris in Aries, Pluto in Capricorn, and Jupiter in Libra. And this is about rapid, fast-moving, radical change. It's about turbulence. It's about the unexpected. It's about awakening. That's the Uranus side. It's about transformation. That's the Pluto side. And I really see 2017 as a year when we're not just going to be making steady progress personally and as a collective. They're going to be jumps in our development, evolutionary jumps in our even our functioning, perhaps, as human beings. I see it as an enormously exciting year for us, even though at times it's going to be very fast moving and changes of direction. We've got to just go with the flow and be prepared for that. It's a great year for manifesting. Saturn is going to be trine to Uranus for most of the year. And so that is a very positive aspect to help to ground whatever insights and ideas that we have that are going to be coming up for us. It's going to be an amazing year for new ideas. Now, on the 26th, the moon is going to conjunct Pluto and therefore highlight again this Uranus-Pluto T-square, Uranus-Pluto square that we've had for so long, and indeed it highlights the whole T-square. So we're going to start to feel that intensity again from the 26th, and then on the 27th we have the new moon in Aquarius. It's at 8 degrees 15 minutes of Aquarius. It happens on the 27th at 4:06 p.m. Pacific and at 6 minutes past midnight AM UK time the following day. So this is, as always with new moons, it's a new beginning. So see where 8 degrees of Aquarius falls in your chart, because this is a new seed that is going to grow over the coming weeks for you. So it's really helpful to see where this falls in your own chart. And if you don't know, check out the link appearing above me here. You can buy a 2-part tutorial video series that people are just loving, because they're starting to watch those patterns of the new moons, full moons, eclipses unfold in their own individual chart month by month, and it's really fascinating to see your own individual pattern of growth. So it's a really, really helpful thing to do. So it's going to be a great new beginning at that time. And Aquarius, this new moon in Aquarius almost symbolises 2017, because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. It's going to be a very Uranian year in 2017. Aquarius is about the collective. Uranus is also about that, but it's about pure truth. So finding your own pure truth, your uniqueness, your clarity, and really living that, walking your talk. So, and whatever you're doing at this full moon, whatever you're initiating, it's very important that it's altruistic, because Aquarius and Uranus aren't just about making money to pay the gas bill. They are about contributing something unique that you have to actually help the collective, to make the world a better place. The altruism is a very important side of it. So not only will it be a search for your own truth, in which you can become a campaigner and a trailblazer, it will be a search for the truth in the world. And because of very fast moving and often contradictory events changing direction, it may be even harder for us to find the real truth in the world. And So what I think will happen, and this is really suggested strongly at this new moon by Mercury in Capricorn square to Uranus in Aries, that people will be moving away from mainstream media to find their truth, find their information from alternative sources, because Uranus is about the alternative, Aries is about independence. So we're going to be developing more independent, freer, radical and alternative views that are our own. There's a very strong feeling of that with this new moon, and indeed through much of 2017. It's also linking with like-minded people. Aquarius is the collective, it's your tribe, it's people that you really share values with. So that's a very important part of this too. So at this new moon, it's very interesting that we still have a strong emphasis in Pisces. We have several planets in Pisces. We have the South Node, which isn't a planet, it's a point, but it's important. Venus, Mars, Neptune, and Chiron, all in Pisces. Now, that can give great creativity, but Pisces also has a sense of the sensitive, exquisitely sensitive, fine perception. Sometimes it can have a sense also of vulnerability. And for me, Neptune and Chiron in Pisces, both of them are about a connection to the divine. They're about a sense of the sacred. They're really about seeing the universe as holistic. And more I'm seeing Chiron as connecting to the earth in this sacred spiritual sense, but also protecting the earth. There's a strong urge to protect the earth, and I'm feeling this more and more because Chiron's at about 24 of Pisces now. It's in the last few degrees of the zodiac, last few degrees of Pisces. Some people have a sense of almost end times. We're seeing extinction of animal species, etc. It isn't end times, but it is the end of an episode, I feel, because we're going through this shift of awakening and a new episode will be born. But this emphasis in Pisces is setting up one of the very, very important themes, I think, through not only 2017 but leading up to 2020 and beyond, which is this divine connection with the earth and the protection of the earth. We saw this with Standing Rock. Standing Rock was a huge and enduring symbol. You just have to refer to Standing Rock and everybody knows what that was about. And I think that is just one of the beginning points of where we're headed up to a peak in 2020. But also at this new moon, we have Saturn square to Venus and Chiron in Pisces. That to me says that we are aware of the blocks or the limitations or the disconnections there have been because of our dense, tangible 3D world, that Saturn, to our sense of the divine, to our sense of the sacred. So there is a desire on the part of many people to rekindle, to reignite that direct connection with the divine, and it includes a connection to the earth as well as one holistic universe. So there's a lot in there, but I think it's incredibly important. Now, at this full moon, I mentioned all those planets in Pisces, which included Mars. Now, Mars is at the very last few minutes of Pisces. It's at 29 degrees and 49 minutes of Pisces, so just another 11 minutes to go before it tips into Aries, which indeed it does about 2 hours after exactitude of this new moon. And when a planet is at 29 degrees of a sign, it's considered the critical sign. It's called the critical sign of a sign, critical degree of a sign. And it essentially embodies the essence of that sign. So Mars, very end of Pisces, we can have this sense of sensitivity and vulnerability, but equally, in a very couple of hours, it's right on that Aries point, it's right on that world axis. Mars is also aspecting Pluto at this new moon, so we may well see some strong, assertive, powerful actions happening out in the world axis, round about the new moon or just a few hours afterwards. But it also gives us a great sense of newness. It's a great sense of hope here, great sense of newness at this new moon, because a new moon is always a new beginning, so that's always wonderful. But equally, because Mars is moving into Aries, which is its own sign, but also the first sign in the zodiac, there's this feeling of new starts, of newness, of taking action. So we have at this new moon a sort of polarity between some very sensitive feelings and wanting this connection, this sacred connection to the earth, but equally wanting to take action of some kind, depending on where Aries falls in your chart. What will emphasize that as well is on the 31st of the month, the moon comes to conjunct Mars in Aries. Strong feelings, wanting to take action, impulsivity. So beware of that. But this is wonderful for new starts, and I'd really like you to look at where the sign of Aries falls in your chart, because that's likely to be an area of action over the next few weeks. Mars is going to be travelling through Aries up until early March, so another 6 weeks or so. Mars tends to bring action to any area in your chart. Uranus is in the last 10 degrees of Aries, so equally it stays there till May 2018, and that can bring in opportunities and variety and action into that same area. So just observe, because this is how astrology works. We learn astrology from observing our own charts more than anything else. So there's this sense of hope, this sense of newness at this time, and there's a wonderful Sabian symbol for this new moon, which is at 9 degrees of Aquarius, which is a flag is seen turning into an eagle. So again, this tremendous sense of a spiritual shift upwards. And also with that, if you think the eagle has a bird's eye view, the eagle has a big perspective. It sees things from a much higher point of view, literally up in the sky, but a much bigger picture. So I'd like you to kind of follow that through 2017, that it's a good principle to observe but not engage. Observe world events, what's happening, that's all fine. Try not to engage in anything in a very strong way, to try and take a step back and, like the eagle, have some perspective, because then you keep your peace, you keep your calmness, you can send love to whatever situation, and you don't start to fall into any intense negative emotions. So I think the Sabian symbol is very helpful and very relevant to us there. So at this new moon as well, we have this very tight, strong opposition between Jupiter and Uranus. That'll continue for most of 2017 till around October. And I've talked about this a lot. It's one of its many aspects, as well as the bigger picture, is the power of the people. I think we're going to see a lot, I mentioned this in the last video, social activism, the power of the people, people speaking up in a peaceful way, but people speaking up, making their voice heard, as there's increasing doubt, perhaps, as to the truth that we receive in the world from the mainstream sources. So I think that's going to be one to watch. It's about new belief systems, new worldviews that you develop for yourself. It's about new frontiers for yourself, but also new frontiers in our understanding of life beyond this planet. I've mentioned this, and already we're starting to see this coming through in the news. More evidence of other galaxies, etc. But we'll see much, much more of this in 2017. It's about breakthroughs, personal breakthroughs, medical breakthroughs, technological breakthroughs. And really feel that if you have anything between 17 and 22 degrees of the cardinal signs, these are Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, by the certainly particular emphasis on those people, but by the end of 2017, most of us are going to feel very different to how we feel now. There's a sense of, as I say, evolutionary change coming in. You'll look back and yourself now may seem very small in terms of where we're headed from now on. So enjoy this new moon in Aquarius and have a wonderful January.